So the other day, my coworker and I were talking about the odds of Disney releasing Black Widow to Disney+. Movies like Trolls World Tour and Invisible Man did excellent when they went to premium VOD, but of course not as well as a theatrical run. They did so well, however, that the CEO of Universal said they will be cutting their theatrical run shorter for the films and moving up the VOD release dates for future releases. This in turn led to a huge fight between AMC, the US's largest theater chain, and Universal, with AMC saying they refuse to play Universal films going forward. They eventually settled on an agreement, but not before cutting down theatrical runs by over 50%. The drama of PVOD and traditional theatrical releases has now made its way to Disney and Disney+. With the new November release date for Black Widow approaching and theaters remaining closed, Disney is facing a choice that may shift the entertainment industry as a whole. If someone were to tell me in March that a Disney blockbuster such as Mulan were to skip its theatrical release and premiere digitally, I'd call them crazy. After all, Disney's live-action remakes have been doing really well at the box office, so I had little doubt they'd skip the theatrical premiere to make a quick buck through PVOD. However, 6 months into the pandemic and theaters remaining closed, I'm beginning to think that Disney is losing its patience. In August, Disney announced that Mulan would be premiering digitally via Disney Plus for $30. This film, which is projected to make around $1 billion before COVID-19, is now on a new distribution path. If this film does well, we could see a radical shift in the way we consume our media. Disney CEO Bob Chapek says he's interested to see what happens both in subscriber growth and film purchases. Although he says this is a one-off and not an indication that Disney is switching up their distribution model, it is interesting to hear they will be keeping an eye on its success. So let's do some speculating. Let's say Mulan does well, exceptionally well. Fast forward to November and theaters still haven't opened, or they have opened but moviegoer numbers are way down. Black Widow is still slated for that fall 2020 release date, but if a theatrical release doesn't seem like a viable option and Mulan was a big success, then Disney may consider exploring different options. Unlike Mulan, Black Widow needs to be released for future Marvel films to further the continuity. Marvel movies, which have a track record of being massive box office draws, need to be released in a somewhat particular order to keep the shared universe stable. I'm guessing that if Mulan does well and a November release doesn't seem viable, Disney will make the decision to premiere Black Widow digitally. This could be huge. If massive tentpole films like Black Widow are being released digitally, the theater industry would take a colossal hit. Let's say Disney decided to use the Disney Plus release model more often. Since they control the streaming service, they would also make 100% of the profits. Unlike Universal Studios, Disney has a huge grasp on the US film market, accounting for about 40% of the entire 2019 profits, with their closest competitor being Warner Bros. At 13.8%. Even though the pandemic is to blame for this radical shift to premium VOD so quickly, it seems inevitable that Disney is now exploring that option as well, since they have complete control over their own streaming service. Okay, so that's scary for theaters, but there is still hope for avid moviegoers. Disney said that Mulan will premiere in theaters overseas, wherever theaters are open or where Disney Plus isn't available. Tenet, Christopher Nolan's newest film, is persistent that it will release only in theaters. Another thing to keep in mind is sharing. This could be among friends or online. What I mean by sharing is splitting the cost with a bunch of friends or family and watching the movie together. Marvel movies are very enjoyable with a group of friends, and splitting $30 between a group of 4 or 5 of them is a definite win for the consumer, but not so much the studio, who are missing out on unaccounted for tickets. Sharing online, however, is what I think would be the premium VOD killer. Piracy has been around forever, but making an HD version of a traditional theatrical release available online at launch, or at least close to it, could take a big chunk out of digital earnings. I think if PVOD takes off, there could be a huge spike in torrenting films, which of course is not going to please major studios. Mr. Sunday Movies did a quick poll on Twitter asking people what they thought, with the majority saying they'd prefer to wait for Mulan to become available for free or pirate it. Of course, Black Widow has the dedicated Marvel fanbase behind it, so I'm not exactly sure these same results would apply to that film premiering on Disney+. But of course, only time will tell. I want to know though, what do you guys think? Would you pay $30 for a major movie release in the comfort of your own home? Or do you prefer the traditional theater experience? Would you rather just wait for it to become available for subscribers after a few weeks, or just torrent it as soon as it's available online? Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.